people who want to dominate women, people who want to dominate queer people, that turn around and tell me I'm actually a Islamist fundamentalist. They're saying that to Zoran. And the only reason why anyone ever even entertains this is because they too are just as... Chuck Schumer does not endorse Mamdani for New York City mayor when asked directly if he will.
But focused. One is the cuts to health care. The second is that it raises costs for Americans and at the same time loses lots of jobs. The third is how it gives huge tax cuts for billionaires. The fourth is corruption that the Trump administration's engaged in. And the fifth is the budget deficit. Not the budget deficit per se, as bad as that is, but it raises costs. It's going to raise your cost to buy a car, raise your cost to buy a home, raise your cost for a credit card. Thanks, everybody.
Senator Schumer, you're going to be endorsing Zoran Mandani?
And what are your thoughts on candidates?
I'll be meeting with him. We had a good conversation. He's run a good campaign. I'll be meeting with him.
What's your reaction to the Canada trade news?
He has yet to endorse Zoran Mandani.
Thousands and thousands of people from the various groups to call their senators. We're doing everything we can to stop this bill because it's so horrible. Yes.
Senator Schumer, quickly, there are now House Republicans who are explicitly calling for Zohran Mandani to be deported. They're calling for him to be denaturalized. What are your thoughts on Republicans making these kinds
That's disgusting. Yes.
Senator, can you preview in as much detail as possible the amendments that Democrats plan to...
Yeah, we're going to have amendments focused in 5 areas, not exclusively, but focused. One is the cuts to health care. The second is that it raises costs for Americans and at the same time loses lots of jobs. The third...
It's disgusting. I also love it.
Gloves are off in the race for mayor as the candidates turn their attention to the general election. Today, Mayor Adams formally launched his re-election campaign shortly before accusing the Democratic nominee of anti-Semitism. Ali Bauman spoke with Zohran Mandani today. She joins us now with the very latest. Ali.
Well, just a spokesperson for Zoran Mandani's campaign calls the mayor's accusation an attempt to distract from his own record of scandal and corruption. So this race is only just beginning, and it's already getting ugly. Hours after Mayor Eric Adams launched his re-election campaign as an independent Thursday, he went on the attack against the Democratic nominee, Assemblyman Zoran Mandani.
Do you think he's an anti-Semite?
Yes, I do. I think some of the comments, you look at some of his rap lyrics where he's talked about, his embracing of Hamas. That says a lot.
Overtake, I made me stop, so you better stay awake.
The 33-year-old rapper turned politician is now in the national spotlight after his stunning victory over former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the primary Tuesday. Do you feel like you have the eyes of the whole Democratic Party on you right now?
There are a lot of phone calls coming in from numbers that I hadn't had saved before.
The Democratic Socialist campaigned on lowering the cost of living for working New Yorkers by raising the corporate tax. And
I like that Eric Adams made this claim. Don't know if Don Lemon corrected him, but it's wild that CBS just didn't say anything and just moved on. Like he actually rapped about defending Hamas or something. Great journalism all around. Congratulations.
Taxing top earners a flat 2%. But Governor Hochul, who's up for re-election herself next year, has other plans.
I have said that I will not raise income taxes on the people of our state.
Your critics say you ran on these promises that a mayor doesn't have the authority to deliver on free buses, raising taxes. What's your strategy for accomplishing all that?
Building the movement that brought us to this point. Ultimately, it's a sign of a different kind of politics. And I'm already hearing from colleagues in the state legislature their excitement on delivering back to working people.
This is not a city where you use idealism to state you're giving everything to everyone for free.
A new poll by Honan Strategy Group Thursday has Mamdani favored to win the general election against Adams unless Cuomo runs as an independent, in which case the poll has him and Mamdani statistically tied.
Ultimately, I'm confident of winning this race no matter who's running in it.
And responding to the mayor's accusation of anti-Semitism, a spokesperson for Mamdani's campaign went on to say tonight Zohran will be a mayor who represents and protects every single New Yorker across the 5 boroughs, tackling the issue of anti-Semitism with action, not rhetoric. As for Cuomo, his campaign says he's still weighing his options whether or not to run as an independent in November. Jess?
It's going to be a long 5 months, Allie. Thank you.
And breaking tonight, Fox News has just learned former Governor Andrew Cuomo is not dropping out of the mayoral race. He will appear on the ballot in November as an independent. Here now with reaction. He is the hard-hitting host of Life, Liberty, and Levin. Thank me. God bless us. How am I? I'm done. The great one, Mark Levin. How are you?
Sean, I'm doing great. First of all, I want to salute our Commander-in-Chief in the United States military. God bless them. They are the best. Now let's get to this reprobate. Other than hating America, hating Jews, and hating capitalism, he's a pretty good candidate. You know, he's kind of a mix between Putin and Arafat. And let me be very clear about this. He's not an American-loving, moderate Muslim. He's an Islamist. I don't want to hear about Islamophobia. This guy's an Islamist. Islamists hate
one of the funniest parts about this, and I addressed this earlier, one of the funniest parts about this kind of statement is one that I'm also obviously very used to, and I addressed as well. Saying this about one of the, if not the currently most progressive candidate in the Democratic Party is additionally crazy. I said this as well. Zoran, much like Ilhan Omar, is one of the most progressive politicians in America and has been getting called a Sharia-supporting jihadist by actual white Christian fundamentalists who want to do Christian Sharia and advocate for more death all around the world. The very people that are saying he's Islamist, he's Islamist, he's Islamist, are insane. Dog, you are claiming, and I know this from my own personal experience as well, being also 33 and Muslim, a progressive Muslim socialist myself. I hear this all the time. People who want to dominate women, people who want to dominate queer people, that turn around and tell me I'm actually a Islamist fundamentalist. They're saying that to Zoran. And the only reason why anyone ever even entertains this is because they too are just as racist.
moderate Muslims. That's what he is. Now let's look where he stands. First of all, he's 33 years old, so he's got pretty old. You know, Castro was only 29 when he took over Cuba. And here we have this guy. This guy's never run a hot dog stand. Not even a kosher hot dog stand. He's never run anything except his mouth. Where does he stand? He won't endorse Israel's right to exist. Wow, that's a tough one. He defends the phrase globalize the intifada. That means he favors globalizing terrorism. When he's challenged, he says, oh, that's just what Palestinians say. No, it isn't, pal. I know who you are, and I know what you are. He goes on. He supports the boycott, divestment, sanctions, BDS movement against Israel, which means destroy Israel, withdraw all investments in Israel. So
I will once again repeat, all of this Zoran is anti-Israel shit coming from Democrats, coming from Republicans, is perfect, and I want it to keep coming. While it's giga racist, I will say this, it's good. Every moment that they spend shitting on Zoran, specifically on the issue of Israel, is a good moment, because it is a deeply, that these morons do not realize is a indefensible position in the eyes of the public. The broader public either looks at this and goes, why the do I give a shit about his takes on Israel? Or goes, hey, good. I didn't know this about him. I also hate Israel. Do you understand? And I hate to, give my enemy advice here. So I think maybe it's best I don't even say this, but I'll say it anyway because I'm an idiot and no one really listens to me anyway. Every moment that they spend defending this indefensible position that the majority of the public also agrees with is a moment that they're wasting not attacking him on other shit that might be a more prescient line of attack, a more valuable line of attack. This was the mistake of Andrew Cuomo too. But these guys, it is kind of wild how hard they ride the Israel's. It is kind of wild because I think the weird echo chamber that they've created for themselves is impenetrable. and they just do not see a world outside of like their immediate circles where it's like unacceptable to talk about Israel as anything but the most moral nation on the planet. Fucking dollars. Mamdani, yeah. Zaid Jalani says Mamdani campaign with almost perfect messaging on this issue never came across as anti-Israel, which I think is wrong. Okay, no, he didn't just come across as anti-war. He came across as anti-Israel, and the reality of the matter is most people also are anti-Israel. Maybe not to the same degree that I am. Maybe they haven't like worked through the contradictions, or maybe they don't agree with my solutions. But he absolutely did come across as anti-Israel, and it's not a bad thing to come across as anti-Israel. It's a good thing. Every moment wasted informing the public about a position that Zoran holds that is insanely popular is a moment that they wasted not attacking him on other shit. Yeah, Cuomo's advisors were begging him to shut the fuck up about Israel the whole time. Look at this. Cuomo's doom and gloom portrayal of the city he wanted to lead tried to tap into what he assumed would be a deep anxiety over the direction of the city and New York's concerns with crime. Over the private objections of some people on his campaign, the former governor spent considerable time on the trail hammering Mamdani's anti-Israel positions, which includes support for the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. It was a miscalculation. Mamdani's bid hinged on widespread affordability concerns, especially for young voters in a city where monthly rent is increasingly out of hand. As Mamdani closed the gap with Cuomo, some of former governor's advisors encouraged him to talk less about Israel, an issue that has divided the Democratic Party. It has not divided the Democratic Party. This is not true. This is also a lie. The Democrats are not divided on Israel. The Democratic Party's base of support, its voters, are not divided on Israel. They're on Israel time, okay? The problem is nobody else in the party leadership has a clock on the wall, so they ain't saying that it's Israel time, okay? The party is insanely out of touch with the electorate, and I think it is deliberate. I think that is by design. They have deluded themselves into thinking that this is an issue that is defensible. It is not. And before you say, oh, they know it's bad, they just don't want to say it. No, dude, if they knew it was bad, they would shut the up. AIPAC knows it's bad. AIPAC has known that it's bad. That's why when AIPAC or DMFI or all these other like pro-Israel lobby groups, primary people, they don't spend any money on ads talking about Israel. In the Jamal Bowman campaign, they didn't spend any, or Jamal Bowman's different. There were some like pro-Israeli sentiment in his new district. But like in the Cori Bush campaign, they didn't spend a single dime on any sort of like Cori Bush hates Israel. She's a Jew hater. Like they didn't do that at all. Why would they do that? You think people in Missouri give a shit? No. Anyway, let's get back to this dumb shit.
So he's a Class A Jew hater in a city that has the largest population of Jews on the face of the earth. He wants to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he enters New York City. So he's got these fascist tendencies, too. What else?
What?
Taxation is not theft. Capitalism is theft. You know what, pal? Why don't you go into a supermarket? Look what the supermarkets provide the American people. All the types of meat, all the types of vegetables, all the types of wine, 40 different types of bread, 30 different types of milk. That's not some damn Marxist regime. That's America, where Americans have access to more food, more goods, more material than kings and queens had 100 years ago. That's capitalism, pal, and we like it. What else? The Green New Deal, socialism. He wants a $10 billion tax hike on businesses. Now, what happens if you do that? What do? They go to New Jersey, they go to Connecticut, they go to a free state, maybe Florida. In other words...
No, they don't. I'm pretty sure Jersey City has a higher tax on businesses anyway, but they don't. Capital flight is bullshit. And there's a very easy corrective measure called an exit tax that will stamp people into their place of business. But it doesn't ever have to get to that point because capital flight is simply a threat. That's it. It's a threat that nobody ever cashes in on. Ain't no way, dog. Ain't no way. Yeah, Wall Street. You're going to move Wall Street? Suck my dick. You're not going to move Wall Street anywhere. Bro, they have laid fiber optic cables from New York directly to Chicago so they can do real-time trading. without skipping a goddamn beat. Proximity to Wall Street is unimaginably important for traders. The idea that they're going to move away is so stupid. It's not happening.
He will kill jobs. He will kill jobs. The guy doesn't know how to create jobs. He's never held a job. The hell has he ever done in his life? It amazes me. These 33-year-old Marxist Islamists, they know how to run the world. They don't know how to run anything. They don't even know how to fix a toilet or to change their oil. What does he want? Free buses, rent freezes, city run.
Michael Bloomberg also ran on free buses. Rent freezes have happened time and time again under previous leadership as well.
Grocery stores. You know what that means? You're going to.
There are plenty of states that have city-run grocery stores, including liquor stores that are government-owned in certain states. The VA operates a massive chain of state-run grocery stores as well. This is simply a pilot project anyway, but if it doesn't work, then they scrap it. It's that simple. The goal is to try to help people.
Starve to death because the city doesn't know how to run a grocery store. They can't run a damn thing. He wants a $30 minimum wage. Why not? He doesn't know. I better watch my mouth. Free city.
This is a Jamal Bowman appreciation tweet. What the fuck? Zoran Mandani's extremism exposed. And his extremism is, this is a Jamal Bowman appreciation tweet. New York is the birthplace of the global socialist feminist movement.
Buses he wants. What else?
Okay, that's false. That is only extremist because it's revisionist. The global socialist feminist movement was not born in New York. It was in the USSR. That part is actually false. But outside of that, fine, true.
What does he want? Universal everything. Free child care for children under 6. Oh, that's cool.
Wait, what? What? He's got a problem with this too?
Oh, we don't know.
We
What
need
else?
free abortion and contraception on demand.
Advocates for city-run grocery stores with wholesale prices. Yeah, they'll go broke in 2 minutes. He wants to...
Dude, the purpose of these grocery stores is not to fucking run a profit. Everyone's talking about how people are so busted. Everyone's been talking about how like slim the profit margins are for grocery stores. They're like, well, profit margins for grocery stores like 1.6%. It's like, okay, well, there's a lot of cost that would be alleviated if the government was owning it, whether it be like utilizing pre-existing storefront or something that they might have, or even like a bunch of the licenses that you don't need to pay for since it's the government. And beyond that, who gives a fuck if the profit margin is low? It doesn't need the profit. As long as it's like self-paying and somewhat funded by taxes, it's fine. The goal is literally, no rent, no property taxes, no overhead for operations, HR, etc., folded into city services, no profit motive. I don't fucking understand. Yeah, also no corporate expenditures, no fucking trips, no lobbying dollars, no marketing dollars necessary, no fucking executive salary compensation, none of that. So you could technically have a fairly profitable service as well, but you don't even need to have it be profitable. Why does it need to be profitable? It's a government service. Do we look at libraries and we're like, why are the libraries not profitable? Why is the DMV not profitable? What the hell is going on? It's like, no, dude, it's a government service. The fuck? It's so good. There's one in Florida. Baldwin, Florida opens government-run grocery store to address food desert. Stop. Don't remind them libraries exist. Oh, no, they're going to come after libraries. God damn, these people are so fucking stupid.
Abolish ICE. Well, first of all, he's so stupid he doesn't understand the federal. See, there's a federal government, a state, and a local government. What else? He says ICE is fascist. He opposes, look, New York, do you really want this a-hole as your mayor? I'm just being...
Bro, he got so angry. He couldn't finish his point. I love that. I love when Republican guys get so mad that they just can't even finish a coherent thought. Where they're like, do you really want this asshole? Yeah, the answer is yes. What are you going to do about it? Also, the idea that he's saying abolish ICE as the mayor of New York is so stupid. Obviously, he knows he doesn't have that capability. My favorite thing is when people just add additional shit. What is the 17 states that have state monopolies on alcohol and liquor stores? No, I know. USPS being a government-run competitor to private parcel companies, or literally any municipal transit agency being a government-run competitor to private transport, or the Tennessee Valley Authority being a federally owned electric utility company. Yeah. That's the real secret. The real secret is that government-run institutions like this, can't speak on the liquor stores, but like government-run institutions like this that are not run at the behest of the profit motive is good. They offer better services than private alternatives, as a matter of fact. Tennessee Valley Authority is a great example of this. Tennessee, across the board, has some of the best internet in the country, dude. It was so good that Google petitioned the government to make it illegal, okay? It is so good. Chattanooga has some of the best internet in this country, okay? Chattanooga, Tennessee, you would never expect that. You're like, what the fuck is that? The reason? Yeah, it's so good that big ISPs alongside with have petitioned the government to make it illegal for local municipalities to offer government-owned ISPs. Isn't that crazy? Better question is, why the fuck do you know about Chattanooga? Dog, look at my internet. I live in the heart of Los Angeles. My internet is dog shit. I know about state-sponsored terror organizations that have laid fiber optic cables. I've talked extensively about Hezbollah and their fiber optic cables that they have. They have a closed network in Lebanon. Are you kidding me? You think I don't know about Chattanooga, Tennessee? Look at how bad my internet is. I'm on the outside looking in thinking, damn, why can't I have that good shit?
Perfectly honest with you. Do you want to destroy your city? Now, here's the problem. If the rational human beings in New York don't come out and vote, he's going to be your mayor. And he's going to destroy your city. And it'll never be the same again. So what will people do? This city will be depopulated. That is, people who love America, people who pay their taxes, people who believe in law and order, they're going to leave. And people who are reprobates and violent and Islamists, not Muslims, Islamists, they will populate the city. And that's what's going to happen to the greatest city on the face of the earth. This is what this guy's going to do. Now, I would ask New Yorkers, other than what I've just told you, who is he? Do you know anything about him? Of course not. Now, I watched...
Hello? What's up? Hello?
Psaki on MSNBC, who lied through her teeth on behalf of Joe Biden. So apparently their defense is anybody who criticizes an Islamist, Marxist, Jew-hating, American-hating capitalist, that must be Islamophobia. You know what, Psaki? You're the Islamophobe. You're stereotyping. This guy is not your moderate Muslim who supports Muslims. He's an Islamist Marxist. That's what he is. That's why Bernie Sanders, another Marxist. That's why Bernie Sanders is out there, billionaires and oligarchs. Shut up, Bernie. That's why AOC is there campaigning for him. AOC wants to be president of the United States. But here's what really gets me, Sean.
Let me ask you one last question.
Yes.
So you've got our friend Curtis Sliwa in the race, and you got Eric Adams. You got another leftist in the race. Now Andrew Cuomo's gotten in the race. Does that split the vote and pave the way for...
Yes.
Well, for Curtis Sliwa was the only one that would be... He'd be like Rudy Giuliani, Mayor Rudy Giuliani 2.0. Is that... I only have about 20 seconds.
All right, it'll only take me 10. Cuomo should get out. He's a reprobate. He already blew it. Adams is a poor mayor. Curtis Sliwa would be a great mayor. They all need to get around one candidate, support one candidate, and defeat this guy, or this guy's going to destroy the city. It's that simple. I'm done. That's it. Let's go.
All right. That's a great one, Mark Levin. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hot, compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Get ready for what Wall Street's calling hot commie summer. Axios reports that establishment Democrats are melting down. A, quote, full-on freakout over socialist Zoran the Destroyer, crushing Andrew Cuomo in the New York City's mayor's race. Donors are fearful he could hurt the party's brand nationally. Comrade Z wants to defund the police, legalize prostitution, and he sees this as a model for the nation.
Do you think that is a platform that would work for other candidates running in other parts of the country?
Absolutely. I think ultimately this is a campaign about inequality. And you don't have to live in the most expensive city in the country to have experienced that inequality because it's a national issue. In focusing on working people and their struggles, we also return back to what makes so many of us proud to be Democrats in the first place.
Are the Republicans happy about Zoran the Destroyer?
I think it's mixed.
That's so cool. Zoran the Destroyer is a dope-ass name. like low key. It sounds like they're glazing him a little bit. Anyway, Curtis Lewa, famously not anti-Semitic. Yeah, Curtis Lewa is.
We're talking about able-bodied men who study Torah and Talmud all day, and we subsidize them, and then all they do is they make babies, like there's no tomorrow. And who's subsidizing that? We are. Doing it openly and brazenly, and our politicians are rolling over to them. Why? Because of the vote. And because they contribute. The big markets will write the checks, and the checks don't bounce, because they know it's going to politicians. If we don't control the voting apparatus, they will control us. And many people would say, well, what's wrong?
I'm not kidding when I say this. Don't show this to New Yorkers. Don't. It will have the opposite of the intended effect. People will be like, damn, this guy's spitting. I promise you. Yes, is he anti-Semitic? Of course. As I'm telling you right now, the fact that he is starting the conversation with the Orthodox community, this is literally, if this video is like broadly posterized, one, none of the Republicans are going to be like, oh, he's anti-Semitic, I'm not going to vote for him. And he's going to pick up steam. Do not show this video in Staten Island, okay? I repeat, do not show this video in Staten Island. I do like that both Curtis and
compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Get ready for what Wall Street's calling hot commie summer. Axios reports that establishment Democrats are melting down. A, quote, full-on freakout over socialist Zoran the Destroyer, crushing Andrew Cuomo in the New York City's mayor's race. Donors are fearful he could hurt the party's brand nationally. Comrade Z wants to defund the police, legalize prostitution, and he sees this as a model for the nation.
Do you think that is a platform that would work for other candidates running in other parts of the country?
Absolutely. I think ultimately this is a campaign about inequality. And you don't have to live in the most expensive city in the country to have experienced that inequality, because it's a national issue. In focusing on working people and their struggles, we also return back to what makes so many of us proud to be Democrats in the first place.
Are the Republicans happy about Zoran the Destroyer?
I think it's mixed.
that's so cool. Zoran the Destroyer is a dope ass name, like low key. It sounds like they're glazing him a little bit. Anyway, Curtis Lewa, famously not anti-Semitic. Yeah, Curtis Lewa is.
We're talking about able-bodied men who study Torah and Talmud all day, and we subsidize them, and then all they do is they make babies, like there's no tomorrow. And who's subsidizing that? We are. Doing it openly and brazenly, and our politicians are rolling over to them. Why? Because of the vote. And because they contribute. The big markets will write the checks, and the checks don't bounce, because they know it's going to politicians. If we don't control the voting apparatus, they will control us. And many people would say, well, what's wrong?
I'm not kidding when I say this. Don't show this to New Yorkers. Don't. It will have the opposite of the intended effect. People will be like, damn, this guy's spitting. I promise you. Yes, is he anti-Semitic? Of course. As I'm telling you right now, the fact that he is starting the conversation with the Orthodox community, this is literally, if this video is like broadly posterized, one, none of the Republicans are going to be like, oh, he's anti-Semitic, I'm not going to vote for him. And he's going to pick up steam. Do not show this video in Staten Island, okay? I repeat, do not show this video in Staten Island. I do like that both Curtis Silva, the Republican candidate, and Eric Adams, the independent running on the End Anti-Semitism ticket, have said actually anti-Semitic things, as opposed to Zoran Mandani, who is not. And the only thing people are talking about is the suspected anti-Semitism of Zoran Mandani. Having said that, this kind of take from Curtis Silva about Orthodox communities in New York is a broadly shared perspective of a lot of New Yorkers, and this would only do him a solid if this video was like broadly distributed. If they were to attack him and to be like, oh, he's anti-Semitic, I promise you, in the eyes of many New Yorkers, they'd be like, oh yeah, he's maybe this guy isn't as bad as I thought he was. I think Andrew Cuomo's probably said some similar shit too. Watch this video of him.
If you divide,
oh yeah, they do a hate crime in this video.
53 million by 500, that's a $106,000 debit card. Not a bad deal. I don't think they're giving them to vets that are homeless in New York City. Not that I've heard, Curtis.
Well, in fact, our guys have just taken down one of the migrant guys right here on the corner, 42nd and 7th, while all this is
Can you pan the camera?
They've taken over. They've taken over. You'd like the camera over there if at all possible.
Yep. You got your key open, guys.
It's out of control.
Doing a hate crime, and Sean Hannity goes, hey, can you pan the camera over so I can see the hate crime? To which they reply with, pan the camera over so Fox News can see the hate crime, please. And then they end up panning the camera over to watch the hate crime.
Control.
There. All right. Now, Eric Adams often complains he's getting no support from the federal government to help him with the surge of Joe Biden's unvetted illegals in New York. And that could be because of the so-called border czar is a little distracted right now. According to a report, Vice President Harris has now suddenly, quote, found her footing. And she's now apparently getting ready for a future presidential run of her own in 2028. According to the Daily Mail, she campaigned in South Carolina last week, visited.
I don't know. I mean, this happened a long time ago. So I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but I'm pretty sure the guy that they were just beating up wasn't even an undocumented migrant, let alone it wouldn't be appropriate to do that to any migrant. It's New York, okay? But I think he was also an American citizen as well. As in, they just straight up did a hate crime, which would have been a hate crime even if he was a migrant, by the way. This is New York City. Like, what the do you mean? You saw a random brown guy and you started pouncing on him? What are you? Yeah. Migrant assaulted live on Fox News by a New York City vigilante group is actually from the Bronx. Police have not said whether any of the Guardian members will face charges. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't know if they'll face charges? Like, they literally panned the camera over to do the hate crime. You mean they didn't? Oh my God. Anyway, let's continue.
Mixed. Yes, in a way. I do think that they think, oh, okay, well, we can really go after this guy. And in a way, it's only Trump's campaign who was able to match the kind of TikTok-ness of the campaign tactics that he had. If you think about Cuomo wanting to run against this guy, he was basically running a campaign from the 1970s. Like, it felt so old, and the messaging was old. And then you have Mamdani, who, it's like, even if you were not into the policies, you're kind of taken in by the look and feel and the vibe of the campaign. So I think there's that. But I also think there are plenty of Republicans who think this is actually dangerous. You have people who support him saying, but real socialism has never been tried.
Oh, gosh.
As if, basically, again, you go back to the fact that nobody goes to school, nobody knows their history, etc. I also think that the city has been hollowed out of a lot of families, right? It's very difficult and very expensive to raise families in this city. So you have a lot of young single people that are here, and you have a lot of older white liberals that really liked it, and then you had the low-income people who are saying, well, they don't want him. This is going to be a big fight. To me, Eric Adams feels a little low energy, and I don't think he understands the way to try to beat him. Look at, like, we're just showing the video here. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm liking this.
The question I would like to ask him is, what does he think happened to the $1 billion that Bill de Blasio gave to his wife to work on homeless issues in this city? Gave her $1 billion. Take it over. Do whatever you need. They lost all the money. Where do you think it went? What do you think went wrong? Government was in charge then. What do you think, sir, went wrong there? Where did that money go? Is it wrong? Is it a bad thing that money was lost? Who do you think that money came from? etc. There's so many questions you could put to him, but if it's a campaign on vibes, he's got the edge.
Hot commie summer. You psyched?
Yeah. So on the one, first of all, I love the idea that somebody like Andrew Cuomo paid a price for his handling of COVID.
Yep.
I think that's fantastic. Unfortunately, this is probably not the right lesson to learn from it. Government-run grocery stores are not. Can you imagine getting your groceries from somebody that?
Why would you guys hate the way Andrew Cuomo handled COVID? You hated the way Andrew Cuomo claimed he was handling COVID. You should love the way he actually handled it by lying about the death rate. That's literally Trump. That's exactly what Trump wanted to do. Unless you're just jealous that he got away with it and got so much media praise while simultaneously lying about the death count in nursing homes. But if I recall correctly, that was basically what Trump wanted to do. He was like, don't test people for COVID. If you don't test people for COVID, you won't need to do shutdowns. Is that what it is? Are they mad?
It looks like one of the people that mans the stations in the subway and is and cares about your food delivery, your food order as much as that person cares about your safety. It's not gonna be pretty. The other thing that I do love about this is that there are a few places that are bluer political entities than New York City. And this is a confirmation that Democrat policies absolutely fail. Even Democrat voters hate Democrat policies because they have rejected normal Democrat policies in favor of this loony stuff. As for, I'm sure Republicans who live here are not too excited about this. But if you're President Trump and you're a Republican running anywhere else in the country, we're not making this stuff up. There really are people who believe this stuff, who believe in socialism, and there are voters who support it. And that is very, very good for Republicans.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Jessica, how...
This stuff is always funny to me because it reminds me of people just constantly being like, excuse me, you're defending terrorism. It's like, you don't even have to describe it. You just go, oh, anyone resisting against Israel? Well, those are the bad guys. Like, they don't even talk about why this is unacceptable. They'll just at most lie and be like, it's socialism. They'll bankrupt the country. You know what I mean? But most of them don't even go there. They just go, can you imagine? These guys are socialists. Ha ha. And they move on. Like, as though that in and of itself is enough. That is the death sentence, you know? This guy, look at this idiot. He's a self-described socialist. Not realizing that clearly that was not a hurdle for the New Yorkers that are experiencing an unprecedented affordability crisis. They were like, nah, this socialism shit sounds good to me. Not bad, as a matter of fact. Clearly, that was the overall assessment, considering that Zoran beat the out of Andrew Cuomo. But yeah, if you're like 60 plus and firmly committed to Red Scare narratives, yeah, you hear that and you got your grandparents probably get an aneurysm when they hear this shit.
Scared are you if he wins?
He's not my first choice. So 10, to say the least. No, listen.
Boo! Jessica, boo!
Listen, there are many issues that I have with his platform. I don't think it's feasible to have a $30 minimum wage. If you want to say that we should have more food pantries instead of government-run grocery stores, I think we could talk about that. But, pie in the sky kind of stuff that you often hear from the left. Though people did tell Bill de Blasio that universal pre-K was pie in the sky, and we have it now, and everybody loves it and takes advantage of it. People
Okay. Stuck the landing.
Even would technically have enough money for private school because the public schools have gotten better in the city in certain areas are using it. And then there's the whole conversation about positions that he's taken, like, supporting the BDS movement, his statement that came out on October 8th after the atrocity of October 7th, which also condemned Israel. Those are things that are...
Yeah, this is the type of stuff that kind of goes back to the, ooh, socialism's scary. Yeah, he was right on October 7th. What do you mean? You know what I mean? You can't punish someone for a position that they had that was correct on October 7th. You can't just go back to that and be like, look how correct he was. You know what I mean? Especially at a time when more people since post October 7 have been forced to reckon with the violent ways that Israel exists. It's so funny, though, that these guys will always go back to that. Like, it's one of my favorite things that people do, where they're like, they'll look at an objectively correct statement that is, that if you look at on its own, you would go, yeah, I agree with everything he's saying. And they get mad. They're like, well, but look how close after October 7 he said this. He's like, yeah, he was right. Why do you think this punishes him? It's not my fault that you don't know right from wrong. You know what I mean? It's not my fault that you're wrong. And you're still kind of wrong, I guess. And he was right. What do you mean? Why do you think you get to punish someone for being right but too early by your estimations? Do I have to sit around and wait for you to also come to this conclusion maybe a year from now, when it's no longer a problematic statement from a career perspective? It makes no sense. Like, it's premature anti-fascism, right? Oh, well, it's awfully suspicious that this person arrived at the correct position right after October 7. It's like, dude, it's the majority position. It's the majority position now. You can't just like hearken back to a time when a lot of people were oblivious to the ways that Israel was operating and simply thought this was like a unique act of violence born out of anti-Semitism as it was presented to an oblivious audience of Americans who've only gotten pro-Israel propaganda up until that moment, whose eyes were open to the violent ways in which the Israeli apartheid works and how Israel is, without a shred of doubt, doing an ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza after 20 months of it happening. What do you mean? That's not his fault. That's your fault. And in an honest world, in a just world, you should feel shame. You should feel shame that you are even trying to present yourself as though you are in the right and this person is in the wrong 20 months after this ethnic cleansing campaign started. What are we doing? ADL called out. The ADL wants Mamdani to call out random tweets from people he has zero connection to, a totally new standard they've held no other candidate to until today. It's almost like the ADL runs smear campaigns against Israel critics and has nothing to do with combating hate. Has the ADL/Jonathan Greenblatt ever asked any other candidate to respond to random tweets from people the candidate has no association with? It's interesting they've developed this standard on June 27, 2025, except Adam is cooking my ass without even realizing, because the ADL will now turn around and be like, well, you did an interview with Hasan, and try to badger him over the head with whatever the kind of statement that they falsely smear me with, to try to falsely smear Zoran with. So now they'll do that. So anyway, all this stuff is stupid and you shouldn't be afraid of it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All this stuff is stupid. You should not be afraid of it. If you're running for office and they try to do this to you, remember, you have more clarity. You are on the right side of history. You have moral clarity and you have the numbers. This shit does not work anymore. It only works if you turn it into a problem. If you actually adopt their framing, if you actually lean into their hysterics, if you legitimize their unjustifiable and, dare I say, racist fears. The idea that any Muslim, no matter how hard they talk about combating anti-Semitism, is still secretly an anti-Semite. Why? Because they're anti-Israel. Do not give in to this nonsensical bullshit. Oh my God. My mom is eating fake news right now. Oh God. My mom just sent me a text message. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 dude. She sent me a text message. She said, Bezos gifted all his wedding guests an Amazon worker to adopt. ... Did you hear about this? And it's like it's a Threads video, and it's obviously a joke. Like, it's a comedy sketch that someone made. Didn't mean to put her on blast on the timeline like this. But god damn, that makes me so scared. That makes me so scared. Our parents don't know how to handle the internet, dog. What is going on? She has a PhD. Oh my God. Burgles, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. All right, let's continue.
Very difficult for me. But two things are important. One, against your average member of the Democratic establishment. Andrew Cuomo was a pretty uniquely flawed candidate for this. And like Dana said, he ran a lifeless campaign. I watched a lot of the events, know a lot of people who worked in his orbit, and it was pretty joyless. And Mamdani was joyful every single second that he was doing this, even when he was getting grilled about past positions that he's taken. You know, how are you going to get this to work? He looked like he was having a blast. And on the question of where you say, well, socialism doesn't work, there's a real split between what younger people think socialism means and what older people think socialism means. Younger people think it means tax the rich. Older people think it means bread lines. And that's where you're seeing this
Both
real
are
division.
true.
But people who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it.
Like I said, he wasn't my top choice.
So it does look like this guy's about.
Oh, you found it. I can't believe you went and you found it, dude.
In gift bags? Oh my God, Lauren looks beautiful. Jeff looks so in love. We are having the best day. We just got our wedding gift bags, and oh my God, they're amazing. So, you know, I got some like chocolates, a Valentino clutch bag, and a personalized adoption certificate for an Amazon worker. Yeah. So I am the proud adopter of an Amazon worker, and so is everyone at this wedding. It's so exciting. My one is called Jerry. He lives in Massachusetts. He works really hard. And I guess how it will work is that every like month or so, I'll get a little like update, like how Jerry's doing. Jerry working hard. Jerry with his little dumpy wife and children. Jerry with his hard hat on. Jerry in the bedroom. No, I don't know, maybe. But everyone's got ones. That the Kardashians, all of their ones also have names beginning with K. It's like Carl and Krusty and Carol with a K, obviously. In fact, I think they got Carol to change her name to the one with a K so that, you know, this whole thing could work. So it's really beautiful. And, you know, people give Jeff and Lauren a hard time because they've got so much money. That's not their fault. And they're giving back. They're giving back to the city of Venice, and they're giving back to the people, you know? And I think that's what's really important in life. It's love.
What am I showing you? It's fake news. Is a sketch that my mom thought was sincere. She watched that and was worried. And I know she watched that and thought it was real because she hit me with the, have you seen this? Jeff Bezos is giving out Amazon workers for adoption. Maybe she's right. My point is, a lot of you think, oh, my mom and dad fall for like Fox News fake news propaganda. Be on the lookout. If your parents are liberals, for example, or if they're radical in their politics, they can still be susceptible to sketches, not misinformation, but simply sketches. You understand?
About vibes, and the Democrats, all they care about is someone who looks like they're having a good time. Doesn't matter what they're for.
My mom also has a PhD and falls for lib misinfo on TikTok on the daily. Yeah. It's interesting because like that one isn't even like specifically designed to be misinformation. That's just like a joke, right? That's like a sketch.
Or as long as they look like they're having fun.
That's the only acceptable explanation for this, because to me, this is a joyfully wrapped total anti-Semite that is hell-bent on destroying the city even further. I spoke with a prominent New York City businessman earlier today, and he said, you know, you asked her if she was scared. He said, as a Jew, I'm angry, scared, and abandoned. He said, I'm scared my kids will not be able to live in America. He said, this is how it starts, by that one on your screen. And he said, this isn't as much about Mamdani as it is my friends and neighbors abandoning us. So everyone here in this borough that voted for that totally and utterly abandoned the Jewish.
It's so crazy.
community here and across the world. And I think it is fantastic to even entertain his policies that are rooted in utter nonsense. So you have America's worst mayor, de Blasio, who came in and said, well, he was successful because he talked about kitchen table issues. Direct quote. He said, rent affordability. People are struggling to make ends meet. He talked about the basics of life, food. First of all, that's not what this person was talking about. Mamdani is talking about handouts. He's talking about gimmicks. He's diving in the Hudson while he wants everyone to have free everything. The reason older people think of socialism as breadlines is because they lived it, because they lived through World War II and through communist adventures that were utterly destructive and fatal. So everyone who has the luxury here of voting for Mamdani, which I find it ironic because despite those who are struggling for basics and struggling to make ends meet, as de Blasio said, those guys voted for Cuomo. It was your typical rich, overeducated, elite snobs that voted for Mamdani. And the fact that they overlook the fact that he hates Jews is the worst thing of all.
Well, you could still DoorDash the bread.
Oh my God.
You could just have the delivery guy wait in line for you. Problem solved. Up next, Jasmine Crock, deport dangerous criminal migrants. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube.
Some New Yorkers are thinking of packing up and getting out already. They call it the Mamdani migration. The New York Post is reporting that real estate agents...
Okay, go ahead, make my day. You know what I mean? If people are scared of a Muslim mayor and want to leave New York, like, I'll gladly take their place. I'll bring some commerce over there. You know what I mean? Mamdani already making promises and delivering on promises that he made good on promises, lowering the cost of living, opening up additional units. My king.
Are getting flooded with phone calls. Luxury real estate agent Ryan Serhant told the Post that his #1 job will be moving people from New York to Florida again. And based on the results, clients are going to hold off on making any kind of investment in New York City. Lydia Moynihan knows all about this. She's a financial correspondent at the Post and broke this story. Lydia, I had a bunch of my friends over the weekend when they saw this coming saying, oh my goodness, I wish I sold last year. This is a nightmare. How could this be happening? So is this Mamdani migration a real thing?
I think it is, and I hate to say that. Look, what's not surprising is it in the wake of him clinching that Democratic nomination that wealthy people, really anyone with sort of a vested interest in the city, was exploring options of where they could move. Florida, of course, is a well-trodden path at this point. But what's much more concerning is the fact that people are actually walking away from deals. So people who were either in process of signing and purchasing an apartment or, potentially buying something in the future, they're walking away. And so for the next 4 months, I think we're going to see a decrease in the investment in New York City. Anyone with a business is going to be a little hesitant. And of course, that's going to be amplified for 4 years if Mamdani is elected. And of course, Laura, the irony is that these are the very people who he needs to be paying for all of these programs. I mean, the things he's outlined sound like Doge cuts, right? Money, millions of dollars to transgender surgeries for minors. And there's really no way that he can do that if, as I think people will, they're going to pack up and leave.
Yeah, there won't be enough rich people to tax at some point. And again, it's nice to hear that, the former Obama and folks speaking about how dangerous this is. But where were they?
Dude, rich people are going to escape New York in droves. Yeah. If the taxes are too high, they'll escape. Great. One, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. But I'll give you this exit tax on the way out. Okay, that's number one. Number two, oh no. What will New Yorkers do, bro? What will New Yorkers do without rich assholes living in New York? It's not going to happen anyway. Here, let me tell you. I'm a rich asshole living in Los Angeles. And I know a lot of rich assholes that live in Los Angeles. You know what rich assholes don't do? Leave Los Angeles. They're rich. Why the would they? Shut up. And here's the best example of this. These douchebags on Fox News, if they don't live in Connecticut, most of them live in New York City. They are not leaving. I promise you. Okay? They are not. You know who does leave? Places like Los Angeles and New York City, places like states like California, poor people, because they can't afford housing. The cost of living is too high. That is, ironically enough, exactly one of the problems that Zoran is seeking to fix. God damn, dude. Shut the up. I hate these so much. Oh, without us, without rich people, the city won't survive. No, it will, dude. It will. It'll be so much better, as a matter of fact. Oh, my Lord. Zoran the Destroyer wrecks the Dem Party. There's only two types of people that leave these places. Okay? People that have a lot of money leave because they can do 6 months plus one in another state. Okay? That's real. But the issue, like the tax loss from that, the taxable revenue loss from that is negligible. But the majority, like by the numbers, the larger percentage of people that leave are leaving not because of capital flight. They're leaving because they're poor. They can't survive in these cities. Okay? That's it. One of the funniest things that happened was rich people, or at least like relatively comfortable people that left and like went to Texas, they hate it now. They hate it. 86,000 richest people in New York City contribute 40% of his taxes. Yeah, none of those are leaving, is my point. They're not leaving. You think 86,000 people are going to leave New York because they have to? If you're a millionaire, okay, the percentages of increase in taxes that he's talking about, if you're making $1 million, is like $2,000 extra dollars a year. You think a millionaire is going to be like $2,000 extra dollars? Time to uproot my entire life so I can live in Idaho. Okay, $20,000, not $2,000. Okay, sorry, $20,000. Okay, my bad. My point still stands. Up until it gets to from $20,000 to, wait, yeah, I don't think it's $22,000. I think I was right. What is the percentage increase in taxes? Even if it was $20K, they still wouldn't leave. Until it's $200,000, ain't no rich person is leaving. Yeah, it's only 2% for everything over $1 million. So it is $2,000. You guys are wrong. No. Wait, no, it is a 2% increase past $1 million. I don't think it's $20K. It's not a flat across the board tax on $1 million, guys. He said $20K himself. Let me just look up Mamdani's tax real quick. Mamdani tax plan. Oh my God! Everyone posts a Pac-Man. Okay, numbers Mamdani says would impact about 34,000 households. Okay, proposes a 2% tax on what his campaign calls the wealthiest 1% of New Yorkers, those earning above $1 million annually. His platform estimates that his millionaire tax will raise $4 billion annually to help fund projects like universal free childcare, early childcare, free bus rides, and more affordable housing. That same 1% also benefited from a tax cut under the President Trump's 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. This is true. The proposed surtax, the 2% extra tax rate, would only apply to earnings over $1 million. Mamdani suggests make New York's tax more progressive. The federal income tax system, he points out, is progressive, with the progressive tax rate goes up as income increases, but everyone pays the same rate for the same income. That means that you pay the same 10% of everyone else until, oh my God, they're explaining progressive taxation in this article. Okay. New York State has a similar system with rates ranging from 4% to 10.9%. However, Mamdani claims the New York City income tax is essentially a flat tax of 3.9%, whether you make $50,000 or $5 million. Mamdani explains on his website, you practically pay the same tax rate. New York City's income tax was a flat 2% when it began in 1966.
Dollars, not in revenue, but in profit. And the second is taxing the top 1% of.
If you mean $20K, you mean $1 million extra dollars past the point of $1 million. Okay? 2% is off of every dollar past the point of $1 million.
New Yorkers. We're talking about people who make $1 million a year or more, taxing them just by a flat 2% tax increase. And I know if 50 Cent is listening, he's not going to be happy about this. He tends to not like this tax.
He did talk shit about Zoran
policy, but I want to be very clear. This is about $20,000 a year. It's a rounding error. And all of these things together, they make every New Yorker's life better, including those who are actually getting taxed.
When he says it's about, wait, if it's a flat tax and not a progressive tax, then yes, you're right. If it's a progressive tax, you're not right. The 2% flat tax past the point of $1 million would be $20,000. You're correct. But if it's a progressive tax, himbo can't do math. No, if you make $1 million past the point of the $1 million marker in an increase of a top marginal tax rate of 2%, only then would it be $20,000. I didn't realize it was a flat tax. I thought it was a progressive. It was a extra. Take the L and move on. No, I mean, I'm wrong. Yes, I didn't realize it was a 2% flat for someone who makes $1 million. It's a 2% flat, 20K per million, 2% progressive, 20K per million after the first million. Exactly. That's what I thought was going on. Let's do the math. 2% of 1 million is 20,000 a year on taxes. That is less than the moving. No, of course, $20,000 is also negligible for someone making. Okay, let me explain. I thought this wasn't a flat tax, but an extra 2% added on top of, for extra 2% added as a progressive tax for earners over $1 million. That would mean that every dollar you make after the point of that $1 million would be taxed at 2 extra percent. Okay? That's not the case. He's saying he wants to apply a flat tax of 2% to past the point of $1 million in income. Okay? That is a flat tax, and it will be $20,000 for someone who makes $1 million. This is correct. My misunderstanding came from that. Having said that, if you consider 2% flat tax over 1 million non-progressive, look at it. Do you make 1 million? No, if you made $1 million, if it was an increase of 2% for people making people past the point of $1 million, only until you reached $2 million that year would your tax burden not reach $20,000 extra dollars in taxes. But if it's a flat tax applied past the point of $1 million, then it is going to be, I suspect, $20,000. Do you understand? Under Mamdani's plan, the tax would be tacked on top of the top, tacked on at the top, taking an additional 2% of incomes over 1 million, making the tax more progressive. But it doesn't matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is because, once again, an additional 2% is negligible. Okay? It's negligible. Let's see. Page number 3 from his policy, his budget. Mamdani administration, a two-part plan to tax the wealthiest New Yorkers. By the way, he has to go through Albany to do this. I don't think he can do this directly in New York City. We will pursue a corporate tax increase for the most profitable business operating in New York and champion a tax on the richest 1% of New York residents, those who make over $1 million a year. He then talks about all the other places that have similar implementations. Having said that, I think in Massachusetts, it was the state legislature that passed it. So the millionaire tax, which was very effective and broadly popular. Having said that, that was passed through the state legislature and not done through Michelle Wu. Who's Albany? Albany is the state capital. So when someone in New York City refers to Albany, they mean the state government. I think initially this was a ballot measure too, right? Wasn't this voted in as in Boston? It was voted, or not Boston, in Massachusetts it was a ballot measure. What the fuck? A majority of all corporate tax revenues paid for by 1,000. Okay, taxing 1% for the 99%. 34,000 households earn over $1 million each year. This tiny share of the population takes up 35% of the income earned by all New York City residents. Top 1% also benefit from a large income tax cut. Both federal income. Okay, this is literally the same as the article I was reading. It would result in a vacuum between 1 to 1.2 million incomes. Very small number of people would want to avoid the kick-in at 1 million if it's how he describes it. Ultimately, I don't see how it gets implemented in that way because it creates a fiscal cliff. Yes, that is also the reason why I didn't realize. I didn't assume that it was a flat tax, because usually a flat tax like that does create, as Megaphonics correctly points out, a fiscal cliff. This also happens in programs that are not universal in general. Like on the poorest side of things, there are people that have their benefits that they lose once they get to a certain point. That income is not enough to actually outweigh the benefits that they were getting from the state government or the federal government. That's the reason why I thought it was just an extra 2%. Mamdani administration will work with Albany to update our New York City income tax to require the wealthiest New Yorkers to pay their fair share. It will champion a 2% tax on all incomes over 1 million, which raises $4 billion. Under their new plan, someone earning $1 million will pay an additional $20,000 in city income tax. Yeah. Obsessed with the Democrat podcast? What is this?
We call bullshit. Mr. President, we call bullshit. Mr. President.
Checking in with the Democratic Party's new video series, and I'm awed by how organic it looks. Democrats' Daily Blueprint. I vote for Democrats. I guess I should quit while I'm ahead. I do feel like I'm about to lose my job very soon. All right, anyway, let's continue. Once again, whether it is a additional 2% increase for the top marginal tax bracket off of every dollar that they generate past the point of $1 million, which would amount to, for most people, it would not amount to $20 million until they reached a point of $2 million in revenue, yearly earned income. It's still negligible. Even if it's $2,000, even if it's $20,000, it is still a negligible sum. The only people that will, I guess, quote unquote, suffer, not really suffer, but at least like will get over harder, like that this will be a larger burden on, would be the people making like $1 million a year or $1.1 million a year or $1.2 million a year. And they would, the percentage of, the percentage of taxes that they have to pay because of the flat tax would obviously feel more impactful, even if it is still negligible, than people making $2 million, $3 million a year. Okay? So, once again, none of you need to worry about that. So who gives a shit? Okay, let's continue.
When this, hornet's nest was beginning to form on the left, I mean, they were nowhere to be found. I mean, you didn't really hear much from any of them. Worried about the Democrat Party, and obviously as an economist. I mean, again, where was he when this was all beginning to form 6-7 years ago? Longer.
All it takes for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. I think people were just backed into a corner and terrified that if they said something, they were going to get canceled. I mean, that's what happened to anyone who didn't fall in line with the ideology for the past decade. But it's going to be very interesting to see, Laura, because there's a quote that I love. There's only two places where people count the number of days they're there: Florida and jail. And so I think people have been hesitant to move back to Florida. We're sort of on the cusp of seemingly the city coming back with now people are back to the office. The city seems vibrant, but there is a tipping point. And the fact that Mamdani is saying he will increase taxes further, there is a point at which people say enough is enough.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't. If there is a point such as that one, Mamdani is not anywhere near getting to that point. Oh my God.
Up with this anymore, and goodbye.
Pot smell 24/7, transgender surgeries all paid for, and higher taxes. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
The good news is that he's not going to be spending much money on police, right? Because he's said that they have anti-queer ideology. So that will be one area where we can cut costs.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Lydia, great to have you on. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here.
A housing policy document on Madman's official website talks about how he'd like to
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, they're hitting every rage bait they can. Now they're going to try to be like, oh, he's doing IDPOL.
Shift the tax burden to richer and whiter neighborhoods if he wins in November. And of course, the commie's got a beef with capitalism.
Do you like capitalism?
I love this.
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And that's what I'm focused on is dignity.
God damn, he is like the lib whisperer, dude. It's crazy. He has perfected the craft of taking a left position and then reframing it in an incredibly easy to understand, appealing and in an overall appealing way that liberals can consume. Silver tongue devil.
And taking on income inequality.
But can the moderates slay the socialists? Michigan Senator Scotkin is dropping her alpha vision for the Dems. Watch.
Democrats have lost some of their alpha energy. They're looking for you to just show some fight and some planning and some Be the coach that's going to lead people from a losing record to a winning record. And how are we going to do that and bring people along with you? And we don't do that.
All right, so you're not a lawyer, Brian, but
He's very literate, though.
he is very literate. When you say you want to shift the tax burden to whites, is that constitutional?
I think he stole my favorite line. I say that all the time in the halls at Fox. I'm always saying the white people are the problem, and then he steals my line. So I'm
Make
a little
the
offended.
whites pay more.
Yeah, make the whites. I've always said that if the white people would just pay more, finally we're cracking down on the white people,
It's
and
about
it's way
time.
overdue. And it's too bad that Trump didn't think of that ahead of time.
These whites are out of line.
So I got to give him one credit. When you ask Bernie Sanders, he's a socialist, he'll just go around the subject. It's not a problem. I just, I want to equal things out. This guy's like, no, I am a socialist. Don't try to Erin Burnett tried to soften it. You're not really social. She's like capitalism a little bit. No, not at all. Not at all.
No.
Why do you ask? And the thing is, reason why he's popular, he's a big social media guy. He's got young people excited. He evidently goes around and has big parties. They don't even know what they're voting for, what they're doing. He's young, he's got energy, he's on social media, makes some cool tapes, jumps in the water when it's cold, and people follow around. There was like 20, I was talking to the Free Press person who's been following around for 2 years, and says that he just has huge parties, people don't know what they're doing. Evidently that night, on election night, they had 30 parties sponsored and paid for, where people go and get drunk, and they go, I love this guy. They have no idea what he stands for, but there's panic. Jessica, you're better than me on this, but Gillibrand is not happy. Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries called, but she can't even pretend that it's an okay thing. Laura Gillen, Democrat on Long Island.
Swazi, too.
Yeah, this is not good for the Democratic Party.
Jessica, your name was mentioned. You can respond.
Well, it was also a nice mention, which has basically never happened before.
All right, so you can't
Please
respond.
come by.
All right, we're going to go to you,
You're
Kennedy.
taking a moment of time. I think Elise Stefanik was the first one to start fundraising off of this on Tuesday night, had it ready to go. And it is going to be a talking point in everyone's election across the country. They're going to say, this is, the leader of the party. AOC is the kingmaker, right? And we're going to have Democratic Socialists.
Do you believe that, though? Or are you just saying they're saying that?
Well, no, I don't think Mamdani is the leader of our party or AOC is the leader of our party. And I should note as well that Schumer and Jeffries congratulated him. They didn't endorse him. And people are waiting to see what happens. Cuomo, it was rumored that he was going to drop out. I believe the deadline was like this afternoon where he had to get off. He has an independent line on the Fight and Deliver line. And at least what I read right before the show is that he didn't drop out. So the problem is going to be that Adams and Cuomo can't both be in because they're going to split the moderate vote.
Why are you worried? God damn, dude. Jessica Tarkov. You're supposed to be the liberal voice here. What the hell is this about? God damn. I mean, I guess she is the most honest in terms of like channeling the liberal position. I wasn't expecting her to be pro Zoran, by the way.
Or the anti-Mamdani vote. Curtis Sliwa apparently, some donors were thinking that they could beg Trump to have him go take a role in the administration to get him out.
Yeah, Curtis Sliwa will never, ever drop that Republican candidacy. Are you out of your mind? That dude is insane. Is an insane person. You can't tell an insane person to fucking drop out of this race. He knows he's not even going to win. He's not doing this to win. He's doing this to put out a message that Curtis Sliwa is here. Okay? That motherfucker keeps that beret on. He's got 25 cats. Why do you think a guy like that is going to quit? Oh shit. Little F. Little F. Little F. Little baby F. The F is done. It's not that big of a deal. The F has gone away. Don't worry, folks. Little baby F. Big beautiful F. Yeah. Ross Parker says, one thing you got to give Curtis is the mob almost killed him, so he means it. When Curtis Sliwa tells me, I'm not getting out of this race unless they figure out a way to put me in a pine box and bury me 6 feet under. Look at this man without the beret. Ah! Oh my God, he has a beret tan line. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't think I've ever seen him without the beret. Oh my God, he has a literal beret tan line. What the? Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't show you dedication, I don't know what does. Okay? He said, neither has the sun. True. Neither myself nor the sun has ever encountered this tan line. True. More Sliwa anti-Semitism. Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa, a Staten Island rally for Trump. I tell the Jews all the time, I'm a Gentile. It's in our DNA. You need to wake up and understand that we always blame the Jews no matter what happens. Wait, what?
בדיוק מה שמטריד את הקול היהודי באמריקה, האנטישמיות שמרימה כאן את הראש.
USA! USA! USA!
I told you don't make this motherfucker. Did I not tell you down to the area where this kind of attitude is going to play really well to the crowd? Yeah, turns out he already did say this in Staten Island. Okay? He already said this in Staten Island. He said I'm an anti-Semite. It's in my genes, dude. Oh no.
החזרה לעצרת למען טראמפ בסטטן איילנד.
Return to Trump stop in Staten Island. They talk about everything there.
מדברים שם על הכל, בעצם כמעט על הכל.
In fact, almost all of it.
Through the roof. You go to the supermarket. I say this all the time. A couple of weeks ago.
האינפלציה שמרקיעה שחקים. כל מי
The inflation which makes us laugh, everyone goes to the supermarket, everybody feels this. They fill a bag, the money does much, $70 for nothing. Does your salary also go up?
Has your salary gone up because of
inflation?
So we're talking about immigration and inflation. Okay, we asked our central speakers to speak into this microphone. Here is Curtis Sliwa, a very well-known Republican in America, the mayor of New York. And pay attention to things that don't fit him.
I tell Jews all the time I'm a Gentile. It's in our DNA. You either wake up and understand history repeats itself.
אני אומר ליהודים כל הזמן, אני גוי, זה ב-DNA שלנו. אתם צריכים להתעורר ולהבין שאנחנו תמיד מאשימים.
You have to wake up and realize we always blame the Jewish people. No matter what happens. And if peace agreements are made, they will hate you. This is how it works in America. This way in other places. Okay, to be fair, I don't even think he's like saying something anti-Semitic. I think he's trying to say like, you know, it's not the Jews' fault, but we here in America, us Christians, always mistrust the Jews or something. You know what I mean? Is that what he's? I don't know.
זה במקומות אחרים, זה ב-DNA שלנו. גם אני צריך לתפוס את עצמי מדי פעם.
Come on, it's in our DNA.
Come on. Wait, he's woke. He's woke. He's woke. I gotta catch myself from time to time being anti-Semitic. He's woke! No! Dude, this guy. This is like when Trump said, his wife is Jewish, by the way, and he has 2 Jewish kids. Oh my God. Oh, I did not know that. Okay, listen. He's woke, okay? This reminds me of when Trump said, I'm probably the least racist person in this room. Where he's like, I'm a little racist, but not that racist. There's definitely more racist people than me in this room.
Catch myself from time to time.
נציין רק שקרטיס סליבה, שאמר את הדברים האלה, הוא מועמד רפובליקני לראשות העיר ניו יורק, ויש לו 2 ילדים מאישה יהודייה.
And he has 2 children from Jewish women? Wait, so multiple Jewish women? This translation was ass, by the way. That's crazy. 75% of Israel speaks English, man. How the hell did they find the one translator who doesn't? Like, what is going on? It's harder to find an Israeli person that doesn't speak English. Oh, Jesus Christ. I think it was Twitter AI auto-translate, to be fair. Yeah.
Out of this race, that you could appeal to Trump and just say, we don't need New York City to turn into a socialist, you know.
Oh, shut up, Jessica. You're hurting my feelings.
Fox News contributor and author of On Demand.
Oh, my God. This loser. Little F. Little baby F again. Dub.
Democracies and Death Cults. Douglas Murray is here. So is Zohran the Destroyer the leader of a death cult in Manhattan?
Oh, well, he's certainly going to destroy the Democratic Party. My own view is that the American public, including the voters in New York, don't really like socialists of any kind. We don't like national socialists, and we don't like democratic socialists.
By the way, just want to point out something really quickly. Douglas Murray has literally said on the record. Also, who's we? You're British. Shut your British bitch ass up. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Douglas Murray is on the record defended the concept of nationalism on the boundaries of fascism. By the way, like he is a fascist, but he says that England should not shy away from nationalism because of the mistakes of the German nationalist movement. He has literally said, don't let the Nazi movement like up the bag for us. Like we can be racist all on our own. Bro, this is New York, not York. Got him. Hell yeah.
And although national socialists have a much worse reputation, democratic socialists should have an equally bad reputation. Mandani has an appalling track record of extremism and bigotry of almost every kind. And his answer to the problems of New York is to chase out even more of the rich from New York than have already been chased out in recent years by previous Democrats. So no, he's absolutely box office poison for the party.
Right.
And
Because they're going to be asked
with
about this guy all day long until the midterms and then all day long until the general. And they're already running away from reporters. How can the Democrat Party balance what looks like this rising communist volcano and, you know, the more normal side of the party?
Well, it's going to be a big problem for them because, as you say, they're literally running away from answering this question. Perhaps people like Kathy Hochul and others will eventually find their voice and point out that to elect somebody like Mandani would be deadly for New York, deadly for the citizens of the city. And those younger voters, people in their 20s who seem to have come out for Mandani, they've been promised a whole load of snake oil by him. But there's nothing that he's proposed that wouldn't make their lives worse. Just how many 20-somethings in New York feel good about the idea that the subway, when you ride it, that's already pretty dangerous, would be even more dangerous if you didn't have police in New York because Mandani had decided to defund them. Nobody in New York thinks that the subway should become more dangerous. I can assure them of that. But on that policy and on every other, he is just leading the Democratic Party to the furthest unelectable position he could come to. Who knows? Maybe he can squeeze through in some way. I hope very much not. But whether or not he does, if the party as a whole goes in this direction, they lose all ability to get the actual mainstream voters of left and center back on board.
I think they just like his vibes. At least that's what Jessica Tarlov told me. They just think he's a charismatic guy that looks like he's having a good time. I don't even think they know what his policies are. And that's pretty sad. I blame single white women.
Turns out TikTok might not be enough.
The scourge of the country. Good to see you, Douglas.
Looking forward to November. Eric Adams is talking a lot of game, says he can beat you. And also it seems like business leaders are meeting to try and, I guess, stop your momentum. What's your reaction?
You know, this is all a recognition of what we've built over 8 months, which is the kind of campaign that has very little precedent in our city, one that speaks to New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs with a focus on affordability. And this is a campaign powered by a coalition that is going to expand. And I'm excited to speak even to business leaders about why I believe we need to increase the state's top corporate tax rate, which would actually also make life easier for those businesses and for their workers. And I think what Eric Adams is looking to distract from is the fact that we won the very neighborhoods that he won in 2021. We won them by double digits. Bed-Stuy, Harlem, Washington Heights. Our coalition is one that looks in some ways like his, but unlike what he did over the last 4 years, we're actually going to deliver on our promises.
And quickly on the business leaders, are you looking to either talk to Kathy Wild or those that she can connect you with to try to beef up, I guess, advisors or, you know, how you'll explain your economics to those people that are worried about your policies?
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to speak with Kathy Wild over the course of this campaign, and even in moments of disagreement, always knowing that there's a conversation to be had. It's something that I'm even more committed to, because for too long we've understood politics as something that only takes place between people who agree.
Let's not stop ducking. 5 boroughs, 5 pillars of Islam. Is this it? Are we going to liberate New York? Yes. New York is the new caliphate. It will be established. The new caliphate will be established in New York.
Agree on everything. This needs to be a city where we meet, especially with those that disagree with us.
What's up with Cuomo calling and saying congratulations, but now he is considering maybe jumping in? Or, I mean, staying in through the general.
I appreciated the call from the governor. I appreciated his concession, and I told him what I've been telling New Yorkers, which is that my focus is on bringing the Democratic Party back together and on leading this city, no matter if a New Yorker voted for me or voted for Andrew Cuomo or didn't vote at all out of frustration with a broken political system. I will be their mayor.
Hochul today asked her, where's the endorsement for the Democratic nominee? She said she still has to make a couple calls. There are obvious points of disagreement, but she is the de facto head of the party. Do you think that she's hesitant right now and skeptical? And what do you make of, I guess, the others like Hakeem Jeffries? I know you also spoke to Chuck Schumer. How have those conversations been going?
I've appreciated all those conversations. And frankly, one of the things
Las Canarias, thank you for the 10 gifted.
We all know about Governor Hochul is her focus on affordability. And that is what has driven this entire campaign. And that's part of the conversation I had with her, with House Minority Leader Jeffries, with Senator Chuck Schumer, is how we build on this campaign to deliver these very things. And I'm looking to earn endorsements of so many New Yorkers who weren't a part of this original coalition, but join us as we look to deliver on its promise.
So right now, do you think that they're accepting you, or how do you feel about that? Like, do you think you're still kind of like the outside looking in and they're a little hesitant about you?
I feel very much like we have moved from the outside firmly into the mainstream of the politics of this city, firmly because of the support of New Yorkers. I mean, we're talking about
Open Presents. Thank you for the 100 gifted subs as well earlier. I forgot.
Having received more votes than Eric Adams got through the entirety of ranked choice voting in 2021, and we did it just in the first round. It's a realignment in this city that is driven by a desire for results.
Let me get to your policies. I talked to Carl Hasey, too, this morning, and he said, people said I was inexperienced, too, when I first won the speakership. And he also said, look, the Assembly is always wanting to tax the wealthy. Is that encouragement for you when Hochul says no, possibly one ally in the legislature?
It absolutely is encouragement, and I've appreciated Speaker Hasey's leadership over the time that I've been in the Assembly and his consistent belief in the necessity of making life across the city and state easier for working people, and his knowledge of the fact that ultimately when we want to take a cost away from a working person, we also have to fund that, and we can do so by asking the wealthiest New Yorkers, the most profitable corporations, to pay just that little bit more to make life better for everyone, including themselves.
City-run grocery stores, are you reaching out at all to the Bodega Association, to the Supermarket Association, to try to prep them for a possible, city-run grocery stores?
I've been having a number of those conversations over the course of the campaign. I look forward to having more of them. And I think ultimately, speaking to the fact that for many New Yorkers, they can't even find a place to have affordable groceries at their fingertips. And the pilot program that we've spoken about, 1 in 5 boroughs, is something that would cost less than half of what the city's already spending in its City Fresh program.
Donald Trump called you a 100% communist lunatic. What do you make of that and the other reaction from Republicans? I think Elise Stefanik said, listen, this is the result of Kathy Hochul and other Democrats failing and their policies failing that would elect or almost elect, I guess, a Democratic Socialist to City Hall. What's your reaction to those Republicans?
I think ultimately they are looking to take away from the fact that we won this race through a focus on affordability. And they're looking to distract from that because of the fact that they have looked to exploit that very issue time and time again without delivering on it. President Trump ran a campaign on the premise of cheaper groceries and better cost of living, and he has failed in the first and the second and only delivered in the third. And so it would spend more time talking about how I look and how I sound and who I am than what I'm fighting for, because to do so would bring attention to the fact that he claimed to do the same and has delivered on none of it.
Ali Najmi on election night told me that day one, you guys are going to change or start a new push outreach to Jewish voters. How do you continue to, I guess, massage those fears that, again, those business leaders have, but then the Jewish community? What's your plan?
Bro, every time I go down, Las Canarias got me 20 gifted subs. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Your $6 a month voluntary contribution, or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime, or a gifted sub is what maintains my editorial independence. The issue is not PC related. It is related to the ISB. The Piker Broadcasting Service is the Piker Broadcasting Service sometimes experiences outages. There's not much we can do about that. Bye-bye. Open Presents and Las Canarias with another 20 gifted subs. K. Kapwa, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Are you being sabotaged? Did the ops cut your wires? No,
I guess to either re-engage or
it's not. It's not ops.
Welcome to a day in my life.
Talking about my main op, which would be my ISP.
In Ayatollah Mamdani's new socialist Islamic Caliphate of New York City. We, of course, wake up and the first thing we do is we must pray to Allah because we've all been converted to Islam, but we love it. No God but God. Despite Supreme Leader Donald Trump's best efforts, abortions are not.
Okay, this is how you know it's fake. This is how you know it's fake because a cat would never disrupt prayer. There are so many, I watched so many videos on Muslim talk of cats specifically avoiding stepping on the Quran. Cats are Muslim canonically. This is true.
Not yet illegal in the socialist caliphate of New York City. And thanks to Ayatollah Mamdani's free childcare, I have carried all 8 of my pregnancies to term because the basket he gives you when you give birth has a Louis Vuitton bag in it. Thank you, taxpayers. Then I head out to my $30 an hour minimum wage job. Despite my new lucrative salary almost closing the wage gap between me and the billionaires, Ayatollah Mamdani made buses free. So now I ride them every day with the criminals he released from jail and the former homeless people who now live in affordable housing. Then I head to one of the city-run grocery stores. Gristetti's is closed for good, but this one is just as expensive. But it doesn't matter anymore because Comrade Mamdani made sure all city grocery stores can only charge the same price for everything. That's communism. So after cleaning house at the grocery store, I made sure to run down to the East River so I could watch the nightly drownings of the billionaires. Inshallah, am I right?
I can help set you up a SD-WAN to give you backup internet so that can fail over automatically. Yeah, it's true. That is what's going on. Guys, the situation is dire. You're laughing. They're drowning. They drowned Bill A. Pac-Man and you're laughing.
21 New York Democratic mayoral.
or continue engagement.
We have to continue,
Hashem,
especially
HM,
New Yorkers who are concerned or disagree. And I am so excited at the support I've received from a number of Jewish New Yorkers and Jewish organizations. And just in the last few days to have the endorsements of Congressman Nadler, of State Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel, of Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine has been so meaningful to me. And also, it is by no means the end of the work that we have to do, which is introduce myself, and even more than speaking, is listening and understanding how this city can live up to the promise I've made of protecting Jewish New Yorkers.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel.